From Australia, this is VK1WIA and the weekly WIA amateur radio news service on RF, internet streaming and text at wia.org.au.
Hello there, I'm Graham, VK4BB. This is the national news for week commencing January 5, 2020. It's been a hectic start to the last year of the decade, and joining us now, WIA President Greg VK2GPK with WIA Directors John VK4JJW and Mike VK8MA.
Welcome to 2020, and we hope all amateurs had a great New Year's celebration under the circumstances. Unfortunately, not everyone has had a happy start to the new year. It is with much sadness that we hear of the terrible situation New South Wales and Victoria are in as a result of the current bushfires. Even Western Australia has several bushfires still burning, most of which are out of control. South Australia, Queensland and Tasmania are not all clear yet, and the weather is predicted to turn bad again this weekend right across the country. With communications down in much of the eastern states, our President has placed an important notice at our news website.
Hello, this is Greg, VK2GPK, WIA President. Bushfires continue to rage widely across large areas of Australia with both loss of life and property. The WIA has been advised that there are major outages of telecommunications in areas impacted by the bushfires, either currently or expected to occur in the near term. This disruption advice, at the time this news item was composed, currently applies to areas of New South Wales and Victoria, but this may, of course, change. The scope and range of these impacts is unknown at this stage, but are predicted to cover all internet and phone, both fixed and mobile, and other commercial radio services. The WIA kindly asks radio amateurs to monitor the WIA MCOM HF frequencies whenever feasible during the bushfire emergency. These frequencies will be detailed later in this item and are also available on WIA website. VHF and UHF repeaters should also be monitored wherever possible. Amateurs seeking to establish emergency communications should use these MCOM frequencies in the first instance, or repeaters if available. As an IARU member society, the WIA has adopted these recommended frequencies, which are 3.600 MHz, 7.110 MHz, 14.300 MHz, 18.160 MHz, 21.360 MHz. These centre of activity frequencies are not spot frequencies or net frequencies. They are recommended as starting points for emergency traffic, which may extend 5 kHz above or below the designated centre frequency. Radio amateurs who are volunteers for WIA and CREST, etc. should keep themselves updated from the respective websites of these organisations. Emergency communications is one of the three main reasons radio amateurs have access to RF spectrum. Please assist if and when you can. This is Greg, VK2GPK.
I have been advised that several amateurs are currently providing a listening watch on MCOM frequencies, whilst the fires are still active. The board of the WIA wishes everyone a safe 2020. This has been Mike, VK8MA.
Another WIA director, John VK4JJW, has been busy keeping our friend staffing amateur radio newsline up to date on the worsening situation in Australia.
As property losses mounted and towns were cut off, military aircraft and Navy ships were bringing supplies into the region. By New Year's Day, New South Wales confirmed the death toll had risen to 15, but the toll nationwide reached at least 17, according to news reports. Amateurs were monitoring IARU Region 3 disaster frequencies because of communication outages. WIA was sending communications operations and logistics resources to the fire control centres across the state and territory from WIA New South Wales and WIA ACT, which is part of Canberra Region Amateur Radio Club. They were also staffing aviation radio operations and telephone operations at the Bushfire Information Line in Sydney. Amateurs remained active, supporting the Rural Fire Service as well as other agencies. I'm John Williams, VK4JJW.
This is the Wireless Institute of Australia's national news service. Not just what happens, but what matters.
International news with thanks to IARU, RSGB, SARL, Southgate Amateur Radio Club, ARRL, RAC, NZART, Amateur Radio Newsline and the worldwide sources of the WIA. I'm Jason, VK2LAW. We start this week with a book about Antarctica by Ukrainian ham that breaks the ice. A Ukrainian biologist is sharing his science and radio adventures in the Antarctic. Pablo Tarasoyevich, Uniform Tango 1 Kilo Yankee, knows how to break the ice with high school students. He simply shares the adventures he had when he was living on the ice. Pavlo was part of the 5th Ukrainian scientific expedition to Antarctica from 2000 to 2001. Amateur radio operators who are Antarctic chasers likely remember him from his activations in the South Shetland Islands, on Galindas Island and Petermann Island, among others. But students will remember the Ukrainian biologist as the guest author who visited their classroom last month. He was there to discuss his book, Antarctica, the Sixth Continent, which is an overview of the southern continent's history as well as its birds and other animals. The book, which is available in English, is also rich with pictures taken at the time Uniform Tango 1 Kilo Yankee was at the Vernadsky research base where the Ukrainian Antarctic program conducts most of its work. It was here that many hams who worked him received a QSL card with a cartoon of him operating alongside penguin onlookers as Echo Mike 1 Kilo Yankee. In Germany, Delta Kilo 2 Oscar Mike receives IARU Diamond Award. Wolf Hadel, Delta Kilo 2 Oscar Mike, has retired at the end of 2019 after working for DARC monitoring system in Germany for more than 30 years and since 2005 also coordinated the IARU monitoring system of Region 1. Wolf has made a name for himself over the years as a committed radio amateur and a competent band guard, and is known for his excellent contacts with the official spectrum monitoring units. Wolf, Delta Kilo 2 Oscar Mike, has worked closely with monitoring activities in other IARU regions and has built an excellent reputation amongst his colleagues around the world. In recognition of his contribution to spectrum monitoring over his years, not just in Region 1 but across the whole of IARU, on his retirement, Wolf has been awarded the IARU President's Diamond Award for his outstanding contribution to amateur radio spectrum defence through leadership of the IARU monitoring service. This is a well-deserved recognition of a very significant contribution to the amateur radio service. In Sweden, an extraordinary outbreak of stratospheric clouds is underway around the Arctic Circle. Long-time residents are describing it as a once-in-a-lifetime event, and the clouds are so intense that lots of tourists on the ground think they were looking at daytime auroras. They were actually clouds in the stratosphere. Polar stratospheric clouds are newsworthy because normally the stratosphere has no clouds at all. Home to the ozone layer, the stratosphere is arid and almost always transparent. Only when the temperature drops to a staggeringly cold -85 degrees C can sparse water molecules assemble themselves in icy stratospheric clouds. News from the United Kingdom of a stolen repeater. Golf Bravo 7 Papa Yankee has been stolen from Mandingley, Cambridge on the 23rd of December at approximately 21:15 hours. The repeater is a Motorola, and the model number, serial number and TANAPA are best read in the text edition of today's broadcast at wia.org.au. Also stolen, a Teltonica RUT950 4G router, which has been network blocked and will therefore not work on any network now. Any worldwide reader, listener to this, the WIA National News, who has any information, please pass it to the Cambridgeshire Police, quoting crime reference number 3592599719. Still in the UK, historic UK Tower, now home to Amateur Radio Club. A control tower in the UK with an established place in history is now home to a local radio society. At one time, the Greenham Control Tower was a focal point for troops during the English Civil War in the 17th century, as well as a significant military establishment in the 18th and 19th centuries. Now a tower, which is owned and restored by the Greenham Parish Council, is a regular assembly spot for amateurs calling QRZ. It officially went to air December, with the president of the Radio Society of Great Britain, David Wilson, Mike Zero Oscar Bravo Whiskey, and local Deputy Mayor Billy Drummond in attendance. NADARS, the Newbury and District Amateur Radio Society, Golf 5 X-Ray Victor, had worked on establishing the station, which will also be able to work the QO100 geostationary satellite. The club's chairman, Jeremy Willis, Golf 4 Delta Oscar Quebec, told the newspaper, NADARS has been looking for somewhere to set up a permanent station for some time, and the location of the Greenham control tower exactly fits our criteria. The tower is also a visitors centre and community gathering spot to draw the local public's attention to its military legacy. Now, with a ham shack on the premises, the story can be heard around the world. January sun in Cuba. Now we celebrate ingenuity. Hams are known for that. As one filmmaker has learned, so are the people of Cuba. On his first trip to Cuba with an American tour group in 2014, Levi Mayer, Kilo 6 Lima Charlie Mike, immediately recognised the ingenuity and self-sufficiency of the people there that were threads commonly held with radio amateurs and hobbyists throughout the world. That memory stayed vivid until Levi's next encounter with Cuba, which arrived via the HF bands the following year when he answered the CQ of a Cuban station, Charlie Oscar 2 Yankee Quebec, a ham named Joel. The QSO lasted perhaps 6 minutes, but its memory also left an enduring impression. Only weeks later, quite by coincidence, Levi got to visit Joel during a professional research trip to Cuba. In January, Levi is headed back to Cuba once more. Levi, who is a filmmaker, plans to start the new year laying the groundwork for a documentary about the tinkerers and innovative spirits of the maker movement in this Caribbean island nation. Levi, who has worked for 2 decades in broadcasting and has been a ham since 2006, has assembled a team of industry veterans, including executive producer Noah Mark, whose work has been seen on both broadcast and cable TV. Their film will be called Making It in Cuba. Its progress can be seen on the website makingitincuba.com. Also making progress in Cuba are a couple of hundred new hams. In December, 210 candidates took their amateur radio exam in Cuba, and 208 of them, 99%, passed. A favourable indicator in these exams held last December 21 and in the ones before is that the number of candidates for entry level and those approving the exam remains fairly stable, which also shows in the number of new members reaching a total of 295 during 2019. Now the challenge is to keep them active, which is the objective undertaken in order to stop the decreasing trend of recent years. For WIA National News, in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
From Australia, this is VK1WIA and the weekly WIA amateur radio news service on RF, internet streaming and text at wia.org.au.
AM Radio Operational News, it's Contact Sport. I'm Felix, VK4FUQ. Our Ross Hull Memorial VHF UHF contest takes place all of January. VHF UHF Summer Field Day, Saturday 18 and Sunday 19 January. February 16-17 International DX CW Contest. March 2 and 3 International DX Phone Contest. WIA John Moyle Field Day 2020. Weekend of 21-22 March from UTC 0100 hours on Saturday to 0059 hours Sunday 22. The provisional date for the next Harry Angel Sprint will be Saturday, May 2, 2020, 10 hours to 11:46 UTC. The VK Shire is the June long weekend, which is a weekend prior to the second Monday of June each year, making June 6 and 7 in 2020. IARU HF World Championship July 13-14. Trans-Tasman Low Band Contest, next contest 17 July 2020, and has the aim of encouraging low band activity between VK and ZL on 160, 80 and 40 metres using SSB, CW and RTTY or PSK. RD or Remembrance Day Contest will be August 15-16 next year. Oceania Contest, voice from 0800 hours UTC Saturday October 3 to 0800 hours UTC Sunday October 4. CW from 0800 hours UTC Saturday October 10 to 0800 hours UTC Sunday October 11. December 6 to 8, 160 metres worldwide. December 14-15, 10 metre worldwide. All major Australian contests, rules and results are on the contest section of the WIA website, wia.org.au. Through the DX window, Cyprus. Members of the Cyprus Amateur Radio Society during the entire year of 2020, as this is an important year for the Republic of Cyprus, which completes 60 years since its establishment, can use 5B60 prefix. Specifically, CARS members will be able to use the 5B60 prefix instead of 5B if they wish, starting from the 1st of January until the 31st of December 2020. Not only, but also 8 UK operators are QRV from the sovereign base area of Cyprus until January the 7th, with the call sign ZC4UW on all bands 160 to 10 metres on CW and SSB. Norfolk Island operation. Janus. SP9 FIH will be active as VK9NK from Norfolk Island, OC005, between January the 12th and April the 12th. He states, "It is my tribute to Jim Smith, VK9NS, who lived and operated from there for years. According to the last internet poll, VK9N is the 85th most wanted entity. Activity will be 160 to 10 metres using SSB, RTTY and FT8. Japan JA. Special Event Station 8N7J APAN is QRP until October the 31st, 2020, to commemorate the Olympic Games 2020, the Paralympics 2020, QSL Via Bureau. BARTG GB60ATG Special Event. Members of the British Amateur Radio Teledata Group, BARTG, are active as GB60ATG until June 2020. The BARTG is celebrating their 60th year Diamond Jubilee anniversary with this call sign, and special awards are available for contacts with GB60ATG using any data mode. More information can be found on the BARTG website on bartg.org.uk. In 2020, radio amateurs in the North Limburg region of the Netherlands will be on the air with special event station PA75OV. Just like in 2015 with PA70OV, the station PA75OV is a special event and memorial station for the occasion of commemorating 75 years of freedom and World War II Operation Veritable. Operation Veritable, also known as the Battle of Reichswald, or the Great Allied Rhineland Offensive that started on February 8, 1945, took place in the North Limburg region and was the successor of Operation Market Garden. There are no particular band plans, with activities announced on the DX clusters and QSL cards will be sent automatically by the end of 2020 after closing of station PA75OV. An English website, www.pa75ov.nl, contains information from Operation Veritable and for PA75OV. For VK1WIA National News, I'm Felix, VK4FUQ Inningham.
This is VK1WIA. All points of contacts from today's news stories are to be found in print when you read the web editions www.wia.org.au.
From Australia, this is VK1WIA and the weekly WIA amateur radio news service on RF, internet streaming and text at wia.org.au.
Hello, I'm Cole, VK3GTV, and welcome to the first edition for 2020 of Worldwide Special Interest Group News. First up, it's Defence. Townsville Amateur Radio Club does the Defence Welcome and Information Expo. The TARC Inc. will be involved in the 2020 Defence Welcome and Information Expo run by the Townsville office of Defence Community Organisation North Queensland on Saturday the 8th of February at Murray Stadium from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tarcadians will be drawing on expertise gained from participation in other expos at the complex to show Defence members and their families currently residing in or new to the Garrison City some of the aspects of the wonderful world of amateur radio. The club is hoping to demonstrate the hobby through a mixture of static, dynamic and interactive displays, with members experienced in many facets of the hobby able to provide meaningful answers and guidance for those attending the expo. Worldwide Special Interest Group's Final Frontier. Were there Klingons off the starboard bow? Reports that on 18th of December at 0100 UTC, the Meteor M22 meteorological satellite collided with an item of space debris and entered a tumble. This event reduced orbit SMA by 1 kilometre and height from 813 by 815 kilometres to 811 by 814 kilometres. The satellite is now stabilised and communicating, and damage is being assessed. In other space news, a satellite built by students to beam Anthem from space. The Hindu News reports that a satellite built by engineering students of NRI Institute of Technology in Krishna District is all set to beam the country's national anthem from space, once placed in orbit. A 5-member team designed the satellite named Kasari and is planning to launch the satellite into orbit with the help of the Indian Space Research Organisation. The students uploaded the audio file of the national anthem to the satellite using Morse code. Once placed in orbit, the satellite would beam the anthem across the country, which can be picked up by amateur radio operators anywhere in India who can listen to it after decoding the Morse code. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Lighthouses. Canadian Lighthouse Operation. Operators Chris, VE3FU, VO2AC, Frank, VO1HP, and Dave, VE9CB, VO2AAA, will be active as VO2AC during the 2020 CQWW 160-metre CW contest on January 24th to 26th from the Point Amour Lighthouse, the tallest lighthouse in Atlantic Canada on the south coast of the rare Labrador LB multiplier. Point Amour is located in the southeast part of the CQ Zone 2 and has a saltwater path from northeast clockwise through southwest. The team will be putting in a serious multi-op high-power effort as VO2AC. Expect some pre-contest activity on 160 metres as they get their WIA vertical array and beverage working. They will especially be looking for JA Asia on CW and FT8, and if time permits, they may also be active before the contest on 80, 60 and 40 metres, and the amateur radio FM satellites AO85, AO91 and AO92 from Grid GO11. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Radio Amateur Oldtimers. OE 1970 WWL celebrates a single radio ham's 50 years on the air. Austria's National Amateur Radio Society, OVSV, reports Wolfgang Wagner is celebrating the 50th anniversary of his first amateur radio license as OE5 WWL with 2 special call signs. As well as a special call sign OE 1970 WWL on March 28 to 29, 2020, Wolfgang will be using the contest call sign OE0 WWL in the CQ Worldwide WPX contest. Well done, Wolfgang. Worldwide Special Interest Groups Software Development. Introducing AirHamLog. JJ1SXC, a ham based in Tokyo, Japan, has released an English version of the free ham radio logging tool AirHamLog. AirHamLog is different from other logging tools as it works from inside the browser. This way, users can access their logbooks from anywhere with any device. Additionally, this tool is designed to be mobile-friendly, and with the user-friendly interface dedicated to the user from smartphones, it makes it easy for users to use the tool from their mobile devices. There are already 2,000 users in Japan using this logging tool. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, VHF and above, the plumber's delight. The Tropo world record contact between Cape Verde Islands and Scotland made at 432 MHz. Tropo conditions over the eastern part of the North Atlantic has been exceptional, allowing many stations in the UK and Ireland to make contacts with D41CV on the Cape Verde Islands on 144 MHz. Conditions, however, were not just confined to the 2-metre band, as some excellent contacts were made on 70 centimetres as well. On Saturday the 28th of December, Ian White, GM3 SEK in the southwest of Scotland, managed to work D41CV on FT8 on 432 MHz, extending the IARU Region 1 Tropo record to an amazing 4,562 kilometres. It would seem as if this is not the only Region 1 record, but also a new world record for Tropo on 70 centimetres. GM3 SEK was using 100 watts and a 23-element antenna on 432 MHz for the contact, which was mostly over a sea path.
Locally produced, nationally voiced, globally heard. We are VK1 WIA.
Getting down and social now for 2020. In VK4, it's the Townsville Amateur Radio Club's Australia Day Long Week Family Radio Camp, Thursday afternoon the 23rd to Monday afternoon the 27th of January at the Girl Guides Association of Queensland Campsite and Training Centre at Bluewater. And in VK2, the Wyong Field Day.
The Central Coast ARC wishes everyone a positive and safe new year. Our thoughts are with those still suffering from the bushfires, whether directly in danger or having to deal with the smoke and ash from more distant fires. Let's hope this emergency soon clears and everything can get back to normal quickly. For clarity, the CCARC Field Day is going ahead on the last weekend of February as it has done for over 50 years. As it has been for many years, the venue for this, the largest event for radio amateurs in the Southern Hemisphere, is the horse racing course at Wyong, about an hour's travel north of Sydney. Traders are registering through the web portal at fieldday.org.au to get their usual places in the large air-conditioned marquee tent. Car boot sellers can also already apply for their tickets. Our lecture calendar is quickly filling up, and we nearly have a full programme for the first lecture room, with a second room available if required. Why not arrange a meet-up of your group of amateur radio friends? Perhaps take advantage of the free tea and coffee in the racecourse building. We are happy to announce your meet-up over the tannoy system, which is also used for public safety and lecture start announcements. Thinking of upgrading your ticket? Or do you know someone who wants to take the foundation licence? Watch the website for details on how to register. That website for all details is fieldday.org.au, and then click on the large Wyong Field Day button, or select specific information from the pull-down menu at the top of the web page. If something is not clear, use the Contact Us panel, and one of the organisers will get back to you to clarify whatever is required. For the Central Coast Amateur Radio Club, this was Ed, VK2JI.
VK7, it's Meet the Voice event, the Ross Recreation Centre, Sunday, March 22. VK4, it's Redfest 2020, 18th of April at St Michael's College, Old Torble Point Road from 8 a.m. WIA Annual Conference happens in Hobart, May 8 to 10. And in VK4, it's the Caboolture Radio Club's Hamfest, July 11. Now, this will be held adjacent to the clubhouse at the Scouts Den, 169 Smiths Road, Caboolture. It all happens Saturday, the 11th of July, with the canteen open before first light. Yep, you can get there early for that one. Oh, and the hall opens at 8 a.m. for sales. In VK3, Alara Meet 2020, Bendigo, October 2 to 5. And with that, we'll say, see you next week, and walk softly. I'm Graham, VK4 Baker.
From Australia, this has been VK1 WIA and the weekly WIA Amateur Radio News Service. On RF, we thank our rebroadcast team and you for listening. And remember, internet streaming and text of this news is available 24/7 at wia.org.au.